You made it. You have it all, the life you want, except you're missing something. Welcome to The Guy Show, featuring the experts giving you the tips, tricks, and tutelage in wellness, lifestyle, and all things guy, and for the gals that love them. We're here to answer your questions and the things you want to know about. Welcome to The Guy Show.
Today's episode features John Assaraf. He's a leading mindset and behavior expert in the world. He's seen him on many shows: CNN, The New York Times, The Secret, Larry King, Ellen DeGeneres, USA Today, Forbes Magazine, and Entrepreneur Magazine. You've seen him everywhere, and now he's on The Guy Show. His latest best-selling book, Inner Size: The Science to Unlock Your Brain's Hidden Power, helps individuals recognize and release the mental and emotional blocks that prevent them from achieving their life's biggest goals and dreams. Today, he is the founder and CEO of NeuroGym, a company dedicated to using the most advanced technologies and evidence-based brain training methods to help individuals unleash their fullest potential and maximize their results.
Well, I'm super excited today here. I got John Assaraf on the show here. He's an amazing guy, as you know from his intro there. He's been everywhere. I learned about him years ago when The Secret came out and really helped change mine and my wife's mindset in practice and then the businesses we were growing. And John, I'm just super excited to have you here on the show today.
Thanks so much, Jerry. It's so good to be with you, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, that's the point of the show, is teach some guys some important stuff, but have fun with it. You have this amazing new process, this new book out called Inner Size here. That's new science to unlock your brain's hidden power there. And so what are some of the new research that's come out to show how we can really unlock that brain's hidden power and potential?
I think one of the places that's a great way for us to start is really understanding that we used to believe and think that we were hardwired. So we were born, we got a brain and we're hardwired and we're predisposed to having certain beliefs and habits and propensities. So that was the old way of thinking.
Right.
And probably around 25 years ago, through the research of Dr. Michael Merzenich, one of the leading brain experts in the world, they discovered that our brain is consistently making new networks or new patterns in the brain. And so they termed that discovery neuroplasticity, and they also termed it the discovery of the decade.
Right.
Now, the question is, so what does that really mean? Mm-hmm. And why is it important to us guys? Well, number one, if we were born, with the belief that maybe, we're not smart enough or not good enough, or that we wouldn't amount to much, which is really what I was led to believe at a very, very young age.
Yeah.
And we're going to behave that way. We're going to perceive the world that way. And we're going to achieve the results that are consistent with that pattern of beliefs. Now, from a neurological and brain perspective, and this as a chiropractor, is, a belief is nothing more than a neural pattern that's been reinforced. Mm-hmm. So is a habit, so is a perspective, so are paradigms. And so why this is so important is because we now know unequivocally that not only can we create deliberately new connections, mm-hmm. but we can actually deactivate old patterns that don't serve us. So if a belief is a pattern in the brain and patterns that are reinforced become part of our automatic self, mm-hmm. and that is how we, experience the world, then what if we could, I'm not going to say turn off, but what if we could deactivate certain patterns mm-hmm. and create new ones and reinforce those? So if we have a belief that I'm not good enough, what if we could create a belief that I am good enough? Mm-hmm. If we had a belief that I'm not smart enough or I don't deserve to achieve this, or whatever a limiting belief is, we can actually create a new belief pattern in the brain, reinforce it, and through spaced repetition and some other different inner sizes, I call them, you can have that become the dominant pattern that allows you to perceive yourself differently, the world differently, and it will actually change your behavior so you achieve more of your goals. That's what the latest discovery is yes, we can create new patterns. We can reinforce them faster than ever before, and we can actually change who we are and our reality from the inside out.
Yeah, that goes back even to my childhood. My dad always taught us, if we were having a hard time in school or sports or anything else, to really shift that mindset. And he gave us two phrases that I still use today with my kids and with my staff and with patients too, is the think positive and positive mental outlook. Is use that, and he would shorten it up. He'd be like TPPMO and hit that when you were in that zone of kind of that downfall, that negative state, to break you out of it, to really go to that thing of rechanging how those neurons are forming and make it more of a positive thing. That like you said, those neural networks, that reprogramming that occurring through there, it's such a powerful tool to have that happen, because we do think as a society, we think we're stuck. We're doing the same thing over and over. And we can't break that. But is there a way, some people say like you have to gain more knowledge, you have to gain more skill in order to break that. But do we really need to do that to change the goals?
Well, it depends. So we need to learn different techniques and tools and processes. So in a sense, that's gaining more knowledge.
Right.
But let's give people an example, the guys that are watching example. Let's say that, you want to earn more income. Let's say you're making $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year. It doesn't make a difference. And let's say you want to earn, double that. Well, then the question is, do you already have the skill and the know-how of what you need to do? So do you need to, make more sales calls? Do you need to upgrade your knowledge and skill for the job that you have? Do you need to ask for a raise? Do you need to start a business? Do you need to add another source of income? The answer is probably yes. So let's set that aside for just a moment. Let's say you already have the knowledge and the skills, but you're actually not applying what you already know you should be or could be doing. So that takes us to another layer of why aren't you doing what you already know you should be doing and can do? And you can use this example, whether it's for making more money, for getting out of a relationship you're not happy in, or even for losing weight and keeping it off. So if we go underneath the surface and go, even if I know what to do and I have the knowledge and skills, what are the things that could really get in my way? And that's going to bring us to only one of four things. And so for anybody that really wants to make a transition into a better result, a better future that they really want, then go a little bit beneath the surface of knowledge and skill and ask yourself, do I have any limiting beliefs that prevent me from achieving that? So do I have a limiting belief that even though I have the knowledge or the skill, my limiting belief is that I really don't deserve to achieve that? So that's a variety of limiting beliefs. I'm too young, I'm too old, I don't have the knowledge and skill, could be one of them. I'm too Asian or Caucasian, I'm too young, whatever the limiting belief is. And let's say you say, I don't really have any limiting beliefs. I believe that I can achieve it and I should achieve it. Then you go to the next layer and go, well, could fear get in my way? And the question is, why would fear get in your way? Well, if we have a conscious or a subconscious fear of failure, fear of success, fear of trying our best and not achieving our goal, which means we disappoint ourselves or somebody else, fear of being embarrassed, ashamed, ridiculed, or judged. There's over 50 different types of fears that could automatically trigger the fear center in the brain, which then will deactivate the genius part of the brain, the left prefrontal cortex, and put the brake on our desire to take behavior, and we'll procrastinate. So if it's not a limiting belief and it's not a fear, then what else could it be? Well, self-image and self-esteem and self-worth. So if we have this either known or hidden self-image issue, where I really don't see myself, I might see myself, when I have my manly mask on of, yeah, I can achieve that. I'm gonna kick ass. I'm gonna take name. But in the back, in the recesses of our subconscious mind, there are patterns that for whatever reason, it could be, when you got up in school to give an answer and kids made fun of you and they go, you're so stupid, you're so this, you're so that. That has an impact on you when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s. So fears, limiting beliefs, self-image, self-esteem, and then we have the stories and excuses that keep us stuck at our current level of behavior and our what we expect at the hidden level of our psyche that we can achieve. And then we keep propagating the same stories over and over again to keep us stuck in our comfort zone. And so when I wrote the book Inner Size, It's all about how do we set a goal, which is a conscious exercise using imagination, deductive reasoning. I want this, or I want that, or I want that. But most goal achievement for anybody over 25, 30, it's a subconscious behavioral pattern that guides what we do day in and day out. And so this is where, I love to play in this neuroscience and neuropsychology world of what really causes results. And we have to reverse engineer the cause of our results.
Yeah, I think you hit two big things, and that goes back to my sports psychology days too, was that fear of success and fear of failure. It drives so many people away from, they're either overachieving and crashing, or they're underachieving and crashing in those two processes. So those two things are epically ingrained in me from my early training in the psychology portion of sports. And I see it all the time with people I work with in the health field and working with patients is they're afraid of what they may feel like in a good way, but they're also so afraid of failing in that same process with themselves.
And what happens, whatever it is that we fear, we actually create.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost like saying to a child, don't spill the milk.
Yeah.
Well, our brain has to think of spilling the milk,
Exactly.
Or do that, or saying, don't think of a red elephant. But
Mm-hmm.
you've got to think of a red elephant, not to think of a red elephant.
Exactly.
So when we're dealing with the brain, I often, in my book, in Inner Size, I talk about we really have two brains.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I break it down in the book, I think it's chapter 2 or 4, we have the Einstein brain, which is capable of achieving incredible things: imagination, deductive reasoning, figuring things out, giving ourselves direction, the orchestra leader of our life. But then we have the Frankenstein brain. And the Frankenstein brain taps right into our memory bank, and it comes up with anything that we've ever read, heard, experienced, or thought of that might cause us any physical, mental, emotional, financial, or even spiritual pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever we set a goal that's outside of our current goal level of achievement, where we've become comfortable achieving, then Frankenstein kicks in and goes, hey, you're trying to get out of your comfort zone. What if you fail? What if you succeed? What if you're embarrassed? What if you're ashamed? What if you're ridiculed? What if you lose this? What if you get hurt? That is just a natural way that the brain works. And every guy's brain works the same. Mm-hmm. The circuits that turn on or turn off are mostly automatic. We can deliberately turn them on or off when we learn some techniques that I have in Inner Size.
Yeah.
But other than learning how to do that, we're all victims of the way the brain normally processes information and gets us to act or not act based on the hierarchy of how the brain works, which is safety first.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that Frankenstein portion of the brain, does that include the amygdala in that series of wiring?
Yeah, the amygdala is connected to the Frankenstein brain. The amygdala is like an early warning or early detection system that, for the most part, works with our external world. Mm-hmm. So anything in our external world is usually triggered immediately if there's any real or potential danger. And we react automatically, and that is because of rule number 1, safety first. Mm-hmm. So preservation of life first. Next to that is, physical harm or pain. And right next to that is, any kind of financial pain, emotional pain, etc. Mm-hmm. All of the incoming information from the outside world gets processed by the thalamus. Then it's sent, except for the sense of smell, it gets processed by the thalamus, then is sent to the different parts of the brain for processing. But we are wired for safety first. But what about a guy who has a goal that he doesn't yet know how to achieve? Right? Yeah. So he sets this goal, he gets motivated, tells his friends, high fives with his friends. So he's released, dopamine because he set the goal. He feels fucking amazing. He tells his buddies, this is gonna be my best freaking year ever. So now we've got the dopamine, oxytocin release in the brain, high fives all around, serotonin's going wild as well. So all of this is happening. But then in the back of his mind, he says, you know what? When my friend Joe tried this, he freaking lost his shirt. Boom. As soon as that happens, guess what happens? Now we have cortisol, maybe epinephrine or norepinephrine that's released. The motivational brake goes down. And then he has this self-talk that says, you know what, maybe I should wait a month or two and I'll come back to this. Right now, let me focus on this, and that, the easy stuff that's going to give me the immediate pleasure hit. And so these are all circuits in the brain that work together, almost like your brake and your gas in your car work. And a lot of times guys have the foot on the gas and foot on the brake at the same time. There's a lot of motion going on, but they're not getting anywhere. And so when I wrote Inner Size, it was almost as a simple, easy to use user's manual for your own brain, the most powerful tool in the universe. That's number one. But then I created, like Jack LaLanne in the 70s, and 80s, created exercise, for your physical body and organs. I created Inner Sizes to build your neuromuscles.
Nice.
Right. And so I created this entire, format for people to take better control of the most powerful, and I'm going to use this really loosely, biocomputer that is the most powerful biocomputer in the known universe that we're just getting the user's manual for.
Yeah, that brain is so powerful in controlling. I mean, it controls the whole body and it monitors the whole body. As I talk with patients through hormonal imbalances and nervous system response to that and stress and stimuli, I mean, it all comes down to that CPU, I always call it, in that portion of the brain, that thalamus of the brain that's controlling and monitoring everything going on.
Right. And number one, as you know, the hierarchy is safety first, energy conservation second, right? So we don't want to change. I mean, let's say we talk about a chiropractor, right? Why do people go to a chiropractor? 90+% go because there's an injury or something's wrong. The smart people are preventative and go, no. Let me get in there on a regular basis to train my brain and my body and my physiology to be in a normal, healthy state and reinforce that pattern. But most people don't think that way. So they go in when there's something wrong. And what I want people to do is, why go in where something's wrong? Why not strengthen the part of you that is responsible for all of your life? So energy conservation is second, safety is first. For guys that are really into understanding, behavior, the third most important part for the brain, and I think you and I talked about it just a little bit earlier, is to make 100% certain that your outside world of results matches your internal map of reality.
Right.
And so when we achieve greater success, whether it's in health, wealth, relationships, career, business, money, that is greater than our internal map of what we believe we should achieve, we will sabotage our success. And that's why, people, hit a certain plateau, whether it's in their weight or relationship or money, and then they stay there and maybe make incremental gains, year in and year, a little up, a little down in their comfort zone, as opposed to just breaking free and increasing by 20, 30, 40, 50, 100%. And so all of our tens of thousands of clients that are inner-sizing daily, actually hundreds of thousands now, are resetting their brain's expectancy points. And that is one of the key things for all of us who want to achieve more.
Yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense of resetting to that point of what you're expecting to have happen, either a positive or negative. Whatever you expect is going to happen because you're putting that out there to the universe and to your energy around you. But having that more positive, that more goal-oriented outcome that you're wanting to see happen and putting out there, then that will become true.
The brain, as you know, will follow the body, and the body will follow the brain. So we can act and behave in certain ways, and we'll change the wiring, or we can deliberately change the wiring, which will cause the opposite effect through the body, or the effect through the body, cause and effect. It goes both ways.
Yeah. And there's something, this happens to me a lot. I know it happens to a lot of people is we're afraid of that disappointment. So we avoid it altogether. So we don't have disappointment. And so
that's called disappointment avoidance. That is one of the leading neurological reasons that people do not, a guy sees a beautiful girl or guy across the room and says, oh, wow, that's an attractive person. Why don't they go across? Well, fear of rejection, 1. Fear of disappointment, 2. Fear of being embarrassed, 3. Disappointment. All 3 of those have to do with disappointment. I don't want to disappoint myself or anybody that's around me.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to break that for a lot of people because we get, like you said, your upbringing sometimes dictates that when you can't break that process that's ingrained in you.
Well, I don't agree with you and I'll share with you why.
Right. No, I guess I should say that's what a lot of people will say is, well, I've been brought up this way. This is what I expected to believe. And so that's what's going to happen. That's what I meant.
Okay, so now we have a limiting belief. Let's deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have an untruth. But what the real reason is I haven't yet learned how to manage this emotion that is causing me to retreat and not take action. Mm-hmm. So now we're dealing with, what emotions do we have? I learned about emotions many, many years ago in 2 ways that I think will help all guys. Imagine you're driving your car down the highway or a sidewalk. Doesn't make a difference. And the light on your dash, pops up, and you look at the light. How many guys, take a hammer and hit the light because they don't like the light that's on their dash? Mm-hmm. And the visual that I want everybody to have is the light is just a signal. Mm-hmm. That maybe something in the engine, maybe the oil is down, maybe the tire in the back is low on air, maybe the trunk is open, the light pops up as a signal. Now, emotions are all processed in the subconscious mind. They're automatically processed in the subconscious mind. They create these neurochemical releases or neuroelectrical releases that are either pleasant or unpleasant to varying degrees. Mm-hmm. Right? So if there is something that is processed in the subconscious mind that says, hey, and this is like almost like precognition before you're even aware of it, that's saying, hey, there might be pain here. You might be embarrassed. You might be ashamed. You might be ridiculed. You might lose money. You might get rejected. When this is processed as a potentially unpleasant emotion, energy in motion, mm-hmm. that neurochemistry is what causes feelings. Mm. Right? So feelings is like the end game. Feelings, sensations are the end game of what's already happened in the subconscious mind. So when a guy has this unpleasant feeling, right? Fear creates this unpleasant neurochemistry in the body. Shame, embarrassment, rejection creates this unpleasant neurochemistry in the body. That's our signals. Mm-hmm. What most guys don't know how to do is first recognize feelings and not react. And one of the processes that I teach is the 4R process. It's called recognize, reframe, release, and retrain. Mm. And one of the biggest gifts we have as a human species is one of the core neuromuscles of the brain is called awareness. Mm-hmm. Right? So there's awareness, and awareness is what gives us choice, and choice is what can give us the freedom. But in the absence of training ourselves to be aware of thoughts, mm-hmm. to be aware of feelings, to be aware of behavior, to be aware of results, we divert or revert back to what we know. And if our understanding is limited, if we're ignorant, we just don't know, mm-hmm. then we are guided and driven by our emotions, and we react, and then we reinforce that pattern of reactivity mm-hmm. versus being in a state of awareness and responsiveness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so key. I mean, you brought up the car thing with the light. That actually happened to me the other day. I go out, I leave work here, go out, turn my truck on, my little check engine light comes on. I'm like, okay, I'm not anywhere needing oil change or anything else. And the reaction's like, what the heck? Like, what do I got to do? Then I remembered, oh, I have my little computer checker in the glove box. I pulled that out, plugged it in. There's my, there's the awareness process versus the reaction process for me. Plugged it in. It was the gas cap was loose. I was like, oh, thank goodness. So do that, reset it. It was good to go.
And then so it worked in your favor.
Yep, exactly. But instead of, like you said, instead of having that emotional response of, oh, no, what's wrong? Things are falling apart. There's my awareness of grabbing the computer, plugging it in, and fixing the situation and reacting more accordingly versus just that emotional reaction that occurs through there.
That's right.
A good question. Within the book there, you have some of the process you have is repetitive compulsion. What is that?
Repetition compulsion,
repetition, yeah. Yes.
If you think about the saying, and I'll have everybody fill in the blank, right? Mm-hmm. We are creatures of habit, right? We're creatures of habit. So whenever we have repetitive thought patterns, mm-hmm. Emotional patterns, behavioral patterns, we develop these habitual patterns that become part of something known as a default mode network. or otherwise known as the automatic self.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about, why do we sometimes do things that we know we shouldn't do or don't want to do, but we do it anyway? It's like, what the fuck just happened?
Exactly.
I know I shouldn't do that. I know I shouldn't eat that. I know I shouldn't say that, but it just came out.
Mm-hmm.
Researchers have discovered that we have this incredible propensity and tendency and compulsion to just keep repeating stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts it starts in early days of childhood care, where we start to repeat stuff. And unless the pattern is interrupted, which a lot of parents do well, we'll repeat these patterns throughout our lives. So the first patterns that we see as children are our parents.
Right.
And so we see these patterns, and when we are in the imprinting years, when we really don't know right from wrong, good from bad, stuff that'll hurt me or not, like sticking my finger in the socket, we learn or patterns from our parents, caregivers, brothers, sisters, maybe even at school.
Mm-hmm.
And if we've developed what I call our disempowering patterns, even if we want to change them, if we don't understand how to interrupt patterns, thought, emotional behavior, or results, and create new patterns and reinforce those so that they're constructive instead of destructive, we become these beautiful human creatures that are consistently doing things that we know are not going to help us achieve the result that we want. And so a perfect example of that is weight loss.
Yeah.
Weight loss. There is no shortage today, all right? 2019, right? No shortage today of what's the diet that'll help me be healthier? What's the amount of exercise that I need to do on a daily basis? How many calories should I eat? What kind of food should I eat? How much in or out should I? There's no shortage of exactly, precisely what to eat, how to eat it, when to eat it, how much sleep, all the stuff. We know how to. And yet there are tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of guys who say, I want to be in better shape. I want to have more energy. I want to look better. I want to be healthy. And they don't fucking do what they should be doing. Exactly. And so the question is why? Why are you repeating the patterns that are not going to get you the results you want? And the answer is because that is how we are wired. That is what repetition compulsion is all about. It's a subconscious pattern. And these specific subconscious patterns are located in the striatum part of the brain. That is where our habitual way of being patterns are. And they operate the show. 97, 98, 99% of all of our behaviors are based on a repetition compulsion, all of our habits. And so the key, and this is, again, why I wrote Inner Size, is we know how to interrupt these patterns. We know how to create new patterns. And so I wanted to give guys and gals, the tools to better use their brain. We have, for the first time, there's been about 105 billion humans that have walked on this planet since the beginning of time on planet Earth. Other planets, I'm not sure. But here, 105 billion humans have walked. 7.5 billion live here now. Never in the history of this species, Homo sapiens, have we had better instructions of how to use our brain better.
Right.
Never. And so we are at the precipice of an incredible, neurological, biological, physiological explosion of we know exactly what to do to yield almost every single result that we want in health, wealth, relationships, career, business, all of the how-to we already have.
It's implementing.
Almost.
Almost.
But at the rate of discoveries, the rate of advancements for the average person who's not dealing with an anomaly of a disease, anomaly of, circumstances that we're still trying to figure it out. For 99.9% of what we want to achieve on the guys watching this show, we already know how to. So how to is not anybody's challenge.
Yeah, I did a show a few weeks ago with Serini, and he had that research there of showing of going into Africa with kids that have never seen a computer, an iPhone, or anything else, and giving them that, so they have no context of what, the thing we're sitting on right now, this computer here. what it does or how it works. And within a week or so, within a week or a few days, they were able to hack the system and figure out how to reprogram things and everything else. That wouldn't even be heard of when we were younger to even think about that. But that amount of information, at least in my lifetime, from when I went first to college and we didn't have the internet to now where it's ubiquitous and everything.
That's right.
And the kids now have nothing but internet through there. I mean, like you said, that exposure and that ability to have that knowledge at your fingertips is unprecedented at any point in time.
And any person who's got a cell phone that's at least 5 years old right now, there's more power in that cell phone than there was in all of the computers that put the first man on the moon.
I know, that's insane.
Right? And that's insane. And so we have an incredible opportunity to access all of the how-to. And that's why I tell all of my students from around the world, I said, the least of your concern is how-to. Mm-hmm. The least of your concern is what's the knowledge or skill that I need. That's the easiest part of the equation. Mm-hmm. The biggest concern you have is getting yourself to believe that you can and you deserve it. Mm-hmm. Getting yourself to manage your emotions so that you know how to deal with the ups and downs, the highs and lows, the uncertainties, the fears, and getting yourself to take action every single day, not 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, to create new, constructive, powerful patterns of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that lead to predictable transformations and results. And that's the whole body of work we do here in my company at NeuroGym is, you know, we work with people like Srini and other neuroscientists and neuropsychologists in the world, looking at what's the best research in the world to help me live a better, healthier, more fun life that is filled with purpose and meaning.
Yeah, and that leads into your book, again, Innercise and doing that. And then also you have what's called the Brainathon.
Yes, yeah. So the Brainathon, what happened many years ago when I was retired, I retired twice for 3 years each time. I'm not going to do it again because it made my brain mush. But I wanted to just understand, you know, the deepest level of personal development. That's why I started my company, myneurogym.com. But I wanted to understand what is the latest science, you know, discovering about the human brain, about behavior, about results. And so I started doing something called the Brainathon. And I invited some of the top scientists that I was working with in the world and said, hey, would you teach some of the best ways to deal with, you know, self-esteem issues, let go of fears that are holding me back, let go of limiting beliefs. What are the best tactics and strategies for goal setting and for goal achievement? And so I started doing the Brainathon. And if anybody wants to join us, you know, for our next upcoming Brainathon, just go to brainathon123.com. So brainathon123.com. And what we do is myself and usually 5 or 6 other brain experts, we have some great chats. And then we bring some of our clients that are using, you know, some of the methods that we teach and some of the technology that we teach to share their story and how it's transforming their lives. And so thanks for remembering that.
Yeah, and you do that every Saturday?
Yep.
That's amazing, and go sign up for that because it's going to help you. And John's work has helped us over the years. When we first saw him on The Secret years ago, I remember when that first came out, it was like, did you see The Secret? I'm like, what are you talking about? And then we watched it. I'm like, holy cow. And my wife and I watched it a bunch of times. And then we met you at JJ's event a couple of years ago. You came in and said hi. And my wife was like, I want to go say hi to him, but I don't want to be that fangirl. And just go say hi. He's a regular guy like everybody else. And got a picture of you and her together. And that just made her day and everything then. You know, and do you have any last tips, tricks, or tutelage for my audience? You gave such great information here already today. You know, everybody get his book, go to the brainathon123.com. But what are some last simple tips, tricks, or tutelage that a guy can use to really break that negative patterning in the brain? Great.
So I think the first thing is let's eliminate the word negative patterning in the brain and let's just use disempowering me. So emotions aren't positive or negative. They're empowering or disempowering, pleasant or unpleasant to varying degrees. So first, let's get the language right. As soon as I have negative, you know, beliefs, no, I've got some disempowering ones.
Okay.
That's part one. So the first thing, I'd love to maybe share a story that will help some of the guys. I'm going to take all of you guys back 38 years. I was 19 years old. And I sat down with a mentor, and he became a mentor. Let me back up. My brother introduced me to this guy by the name of Alan Brown. And the reason he introduced me to Alan Brown, because at 19 years old, I was getting in trouble with the law. I was working at a shipping department, making about $2 an hour. And I was either going to be in the morgue or jail because of some of the illegal things I was doing. And my brother said, hey, bro, you're getting yourself into a lot of trouble. There's a guy that I'm teaching tennis to. My brother's a tennis pro that's very successful philanthropist and entrepreneur and real estate guy. He's willing to meet you if you'll come from Montreal to Toronto, about 350 miles away. I go, sure. So on a Friday morning, I took the train from Montreal, went to Toronto. My brother picked me up. I went to meet Mr. Alan Brown for lunch. And he asked me, he says, like, why, you seem like a nice kid. Like, why are you getting into so much trouble? I don't know.
Typical.
I don't know. I want to make some money. He said, well, didn't you go to school to get yourself in? No, I left high school grade 11. I couldn't stand it. The teachers didn't like me. I didn't like the teachers. I was getting into trouble. My father's a cab driver. Never gave me allowance. I had to have a newspaper route when I was, 10 years old to make a little bit of money. And I had to, sell more raffle tickets than any kid in school so I could get a fucking bicycle. So he says, okay, so you got some stories and some issues. And I said, like, what are your goals? What do you mean? What are my goals? I'd love to buy my own car. I'd like to move out of my parents' house and get my own apartment. I'd like to travel a little bit and, maybe, see some spots. And he goes, listen, I want you to do something for me. He gave me this binder with about 15 sheets of goal setting sheets. And he said, I want you to just go away for a couple of hours. I'll meet you a little bit later. And I want you to fill these out. And this is after about 30, 40 minutes of talking. So he gave me this sheet of, what are my health goals? 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 25 years. What are my financial goals? How much income that I want to make? What kind of lifestyle that I want to live? What kind of cars I want to drive? What kind of home do I want to live in? And so I went off thinking, what the hell is this? Like, I took the train all the way from Montreal. Like, what the hell is this? Anyway, I did the exercise of goal setting. I came back and he looked at it and he goes, okay, great. So you want to be a millionaire by the time you're 45. I was 19 at the time. He says, you want to have a Mercedes Benz. You want to have a nice 4-bedroom home with a double car garage. You want to travel. You want to help your parents retire. I just wrote out shit. And he said to me, you actually did a pretty good job in writing out some goals. And he said, where did you get most of these goals? And I said, well, one of my favorite shows on TV is Robin Leach's Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous. And I said, so they live a great lifestyle. I want to live a great lifestyle. Now, to put it into perspective, in 1980, this was the end of April, beginning of May, 1980, my father was making about $20,000 a year. Okay, so not affluent, but $20,000 a cab driver was great back then. So I said to him, I don't come from money. We don't know anybody that's a millionaire. So I just had to go to, if these are my goals, I had to go to this TV show. So he says, great. He says, let me ask you a question, because the answer to this question will determine whether it's even feasible for you to be thinking about this. I said, sure, fire away. He says, are you interested in achieving these goals, or are you committed? And I said, Mr. Brown, I looked up at him. I said, what's the difference? He said, well, if you're interested, you'll come up with stories and excuses and reasons why you can't. He says, you'll use your past and your lack of education and the fact you left school and the fact that you're getting in trouble with the law. You'll use all of that as your reasons why you can't and why you won't. He says, but if you're committed, he said, you'll learn how to let go of all that shit and the beliefs that you're not smart enough and not good enough and not deserving enough. And you'll become the man with the knowledge and the skills and the habits to be able to achieve those. I said, wow. I said, so even if I am committed, and I don't have anybody who can help me. He goes, well, why don't you make the decision first and see what happens? I said, great. Put my hand out to him. I said, I'm committed, Mr. Brown. I want to achieve those goals. And he put his hand out, shook mine, and he says, in that case, I'll be your mentor.
Nice.
Boom. One man, one lunch, one decision changed my life. I went back to Montreal on Sunday, quit my job at the shipping department, told my parents I'm moving to Toronto, moved in with my brother. This was May 1980. Mr. Brown paid for me to take my real estate license. I was 19 years old. 5 weeks later, I got my real estate license and I passed the test. And the reason I know these dates so well, Jerry,
Mm-hmm.
It was the first test I studied and passed on my own in 5 years.
Wow.
So boom, I had a little bit of, wow, maybe I'm not that stupid. I just passed a real estate. Then he started to mentor me. And in my first year working with him, teaching me, to focus an hour a day on my goals, upgrading my knowledge and skills, I made $50 some odd $1,000.
Wow.
On my second year, I made $151,000. I was 21.
Wow.
Now, I shared this with everybody, not to impress you, but one decision, one shift in my focus, and doing inner size. I started the early days of inner sizes, back in 1980. It helped transform my life, and that's the path that I've been on. And so the reason I wrote the book Inner Size and all my other bodies of work is I want to give people hope, but not just hope. I want to give them, here's exactly how you do it. So here's what to do, how to do it, why it works. Here's the neuroscience behind it. Here's the neuropsychology behind it. And you can achieve whatever health, wealth, relationships, career, business goals you have when you get your mindset right and your emotional management right. Then you start to take the actions necessary.
John, amazing story, an amazing story from start to finish of where you started and where you are now and the process you developed through there and were taught to help get those points into your brain, change that mindset to be stronger and commit yourself. And that was such a huge point you made there of are you going to achieve them or are you going to commit to achieve them through there? And that commitment is where a lot of times guys fail in the process there.
Yeah, all of our students, I'll just share with you, I ask every one of my students around the world, are you interested or you're committed? Because if you're interested, I don't want to be your teacher. If you're committed, I'll help you. But I also share something with people. According to the latest brain research, it takes between 66 days to 365 days to change a neural pattern in the brain that we've had for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, from one that's maybe disempowering to empowering one. And so all of our students have to agree to 100 days of inner sizing to change that neural pattern so that they have that positive, powerful, incredible pattern that'll actually last them for the rest of their lives.
Amazing. Amazing. John, thanks again for being on the show. I appreciate all of your knowledge that you dropped on my guys today and for the gals that love them too. And, check out his book, get his book, Inner Size, get all of his body of work. Go to his brainathon123.com, log in there. So every Saturday you can really get those tips, tricks, and tutelage from the experts on brain and changing your mindset and everything. And y'all have a great night and we'll see y'all later.
Thanks, Jerry. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of The Guys Show. What do you think? Register and post your review of this episode in iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, or Google Play. Also, do not forget to set the auto download feature for the show. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Guys Show Live. To get the most of this week's episode, be sure to check out the show notes at theguyshow.net, where you will find a free download of the tips, tricks, and tutelage from all of our guests and the host, plus many more amazing products, life-changing courses, and Guy Camp quarterly retreats that are available for your purchase.